Hello, welcome back to a episode of Smoking Room. I think this is what we're going to call it.
Yes.
And we have a very special topic today.
God.
Before I introduce the topic, I want everybody to introduce themselves. So who do we have on here today?
Hi, I'm Natasha, another world doctor. Feeling sick? I'm Des, coming in with extremely outdated memes. Hello, how are you doing?
Des, I want you to know that I had a fucking stroke when you said that because I'm literally playing I'm having Star Rail Auto Battle in front of me right now on my phone.
Sure you're recording an episode. Do you also have Subway Surfers and Family Guy on the side? Damn.
And I can open it now.
Ugh. God fucking damn it. Anyway, who else is here on this Family Guy watch party?
Lurf. I didn't come prepared with an outdated meme. But I'm here.
Hooray! There's also me, your friendly neighborhood mushroom, trying to not die in my auto battle because I accidentally didn't pick a healer. So yay, going great.
And I'm Pokey.
Hi, Pokey.
Pokey, honestly, I like admire the consistency in always saying the same phrase, not being swayed by, any, I appreciate the consistency. It's like, really, I always know what to expect.
It helps that my name comes last. My name comes last in the alphabet. I think of almost every member, so I'm always the last one to introduce themselves. So I can always say "and."
It's your catchphrase.
And is my catchphrase, of course.
And is your first name Pokey is the surname.
And middle name I'm.
Yes.
What an incredible name. On this lovely afternoon, we are gathered here today to, we're being very American-centric right now. I don't know why. We're gathered here to talk about a topic that I think we have teased the shit out of since forever, which is I equals Y. So
yes, you in particular, you, that specific viewer who always calls us out for every time we bring up this topic. We always do. We will eventually do a smoking room. It's been 3 years. It's here now. You can stop calling us out. It's here. Okay?
Yeah. Just like everything else we do on this podcast, we're getting around to it. We're gonna talk about it. This is like every single time we ever mentioned EP6 when we were doing EP1 and 2, and we're like, yeah, it's gonna happen one day. It's like EP8, one day we're gonna talk about it. It's gonna be in the future. Who knows?
Whoa, no way. For real? Yo, no cap in the future?
Yeah.
I would have never expected it.
Insane.
Just for everybody's information who is currently going to be listening to this episode, this will have full Umineko spoilers. We will just tell you everything that happens, and if you want, just don't listen to this if you haven't already spent a lot of time thinking about the ending of Umineko. We're gonna...
Or if you have, just don't listen to it at all. Just imagine.
Just turn down the volume.
Exactly.
Just imagine what this episode might be.
So, before we start talking, about everybody's opinion about what Y equals I is, let's talk about what is Y equals I. So Y equals I is, I guess the Y is Sayu?
Yasu.
Yasu. It's Yasu. Yeah, it's Yasuda. Yasuda equals Ikuko. So this comes from the very idea of what if Sayo lives in the very end, with Battler, becomes Ikuko and writes stories and the implications about the witches' battles and so on and so forth. And people who believe in Y equals I also believes in different degrees of Y equals I.
It's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum, exactly. So, do we all want to talk about how you discovered Y equals I and what's your immediate feeling when you first heard about it? Because I feel like a lot of people have very strong feelings of Ikuko, and lots of people have very strong feeling about Sayo, and to mush them together to make them one person gives people feelings.
Yes.
So we can go. Go.
It truly does.
Can confirm.
Yeah. So let's go down the line to explain your feelings about this.
I don't know, it's a very intricate feeling. I feel like the way I feel about I equals Y is...
Des, all over the audacity. Come on.
Yeah, I hope that perfectly encapsulates it.
The feeling that Des feels is a feeling when I first walked into Hollow Knight, like Deep Nest, and I just hear like, I don't know any of you play Hollow Knight, but you know, when I first walked into Deep Nest, that's all I hear. Thanks, Des, for recreating that feeling.
You're welcome. I'm here every Friday. Yeah, I don't like it. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being and with every fiber of any being in my immediate vicinity. It is completely goes against everything I believe in Umineko and in real life. I hate it and you should burn it with fire.
Very.
Do you remember where you first heard of it?
In some episode. It was probably Mushroom who brought it up. I don't, yeah.
Blame Mushroom.
Yes. I hate fungi.
What about you, Lerf?
Well, I think I heard about Y equals I either from this very podcast or somewhere on the Umineko subreddit. I don't remember which exactly. As for my feelings on it, I would say, listen, I understand the appeal. I get why you want Ikuko to be Yasuda and for her to hold hands with Toya and do whatever it is they do alone in their home together and write stories. However, I feel like it goes against pretty much all of my thoughts on Sayo as a character and how her story ended. I just have a lot of feelings about that part of it.
Okay. Alright, before I have Pokey explain their thoughts, I want to talk about how did this episode came to be. So I think as you can imagine, I mention I equals Y fairly often on the podcast without going into much details because I keep thinking that I'm going to be able to find the perfect Y equals I fan out there who can like be the opposite of like, you know, clearly everybody else who feels about it on the podcast. I have a lot of thoughts about Y equals I, which I'm going to, you know, explore with everybody on the podcast, but I feel pretty in the middle of the road, and also because I really like these two characters, and I think of them as very distinctly two characters. But the best part about this is that Pokey last episode we recorded said, actually, I'm coming out with a steel chair with as an I equals Y fan, and everybody in the room was shocked.
Pokey, they said like the most Vine Boom sound effect thing ever, because they just say, here's how I'm gonna explain this to Ikuko, like I equals Y, and Mushroom was like, wait, are you a I equals Y believer? And Pokey said, no, I'm an I equals Y truther, and everyone fucking died, like the boldness.
Yeah, I'm like the flat earther equivalent but of this theory. I'm like, no, they're not separate characters. Everything you believe turned on its head.
So yeah, so Pokey, where did you first learn about Y equals I?
I learned about this theory, I believe, from this podcast when I first became a listener. Ooh. I cannot remember exactly. I think it was the authorship theory video.
That's possible, yeah.
Yeah, and so when I first heard of it, first of all, I will preface by saying that when I first read through Umineko, I was a very terrible active reader, okay? So I was like...
I think most people are. Don't blame yourself.
But, like, to a ridiculous degree. Like, we got to the ending, and then we see Shannon interacting with this other servant, and I'm like, oh, there was a 19th person all along? I mean, sure, whatever. I'll go with it. It was... I guess I was just tired that day or something, but... So I had never considered the idea that Ikuko could actually be Sayo. Until I heard about the theory, and I was like, oh, then that means that, oh, that fits totally. And then I was like, oh, no, totally doesn't fit at all. But now, more recently, we're starting the book club for episode 6 of Umineko, and that's the beginning portion just solidified in my mind that I do believe that I equals Y is true, and that Sayo and Ikuko are the person in the same way that Toya is the same person as Valor.
So you unironically believe this? I thought you were just going with the flow because it's funny.
No, I'm a lone crusader. Everyone else is against me right now.
Okay. Wow, okay, that's so interesting. I can't wait to debate you.
Yeah, when I said the world turned upside down, I was including your opinion about me.
Alright. Alright.
I love how Des.
You want to tussle? Oh, we can tussle.
Yeah, I know how to. I know how to play the heel.
This is very funny because I have to say, like, being on this podcast for this long, we have got into many verbal battles on this ground. There has been many of times that I would just Des and I would just be yelling in the podcast while somebody else just sits there and gets to listen while we just yell about whatever. But I am really excited about this because Y equals I has a lot of interesting components to it. It's kind of like the type of thing where it's like the whole discussion about Mio and who is Lambda Delta, like, and what's your feeling about like who gets to be Lambda Delta, you know what I mean? And there is a lot of actual, how do I say, like contextual evidence for it. So the reason how I found out about equals Sayo actually comes from me reading TV tropes. So I want to talk about, shout out to Umineko TV tropes. I have a lot of opinions about that page, but it has a lot of very interesting things. One of the first interesting things about...
Wait, first thing.
Yes?
I think I'm just now remembering that the first time I heard about Umineko was on TV tropes.
Really?
Wow.
I didn't understand anything about the plot, but I remember that's where I first learned about the idea that there was a family reunion happening on an island and then some sort of demonic creature shows up and tries to attack them.
That's so funny. Shout out to TV tropes.
Yeah, it wasn't until years later that I was actually introduced to it for the first time through, I believe, Mother's Basement, and then I watched Rose Matter play the first few chapters of Higurashi.
Oh yeah, I do remember Mother's Basement. Shout out to Jeff, my man. I want to say shout out to Jeff because in a land of all of the old anime YouTubers are bad. Jeff is truly the only person that somehow starved really lived through the time and then still was able to make very good content. And there's now a new wave of anime YouTubers who makes incredibly great video essays. And but yeah, but what I was gonna say is so the interesting things about Ikuko being Sayo, this is a conversation that actually happened even during the time of Ryukishi making writing EP8. So a very interesting detail that I read about is actually in the original version of EP8, Ryukishi was originally going to make Hachijo Toya and Ikuko married, they are a married couple.
Yeah.
And
wait, is that confirmed? I know there's a post about it on Reddit with source ?
Yes, I'll put the source in. It's from an interview where Ryukishi talks about it, and Ryukishi said that he ended up not doing it because his the people who worked on it with him didn't like the idea at all, and also
thank you.
yes. And which is very interesting, and so there's a few things about Ikuko that makes her very fascinating. So the first thing is her name is Hachijo Ikuko, and Ikuko basically means many children, many people, it's Ikuko, ikura, as in how many. So you could say I'm one but I'm many. So, there's actually very interesting...
I actually think that it's more specific than that. I don't know Japanese, so this is totally me just trusting the trivia section of, the game. But, the pen name, Itoi Kukuro Zero Gon Nanna Roku, it's got that number puzzle. And the part that is 19 correlates to Iku. So some people read Ikuko as 19 child in the same way that Toya is correlated to 18, which is the only thing Battler could remember his age.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yes. So okay, this is one of the reasons why I say I have a lot of very conflicting feelings about Ikuko and Y equals I, because the thing is that like before we got onto this episode, I was talking to Pokey about how my feelings about the subject is very muddied, not because I like Ikuko as a character, and I like Sayo as a character. These two characters are not the same person in my mind. However, there's a lot of very interesting details that Ryukishi decided to keep about like Ikuko that makes her a fascinatingly weird conglomerate of a bunch of ideas that makes me like am interested in entertaining a version of this idea. And if I did entertain a version of this idea, that person wouldn't be Ikuko anymore, is my point. Does that make sense? It's like I'm thinking of an AU version of like, what if Sayo did live and did write like stories with Battler? That person would just not be Ikuko, but like is an interesting idea. If that makes any sense.
I feel like a lot of those correlations can just be things like, well, since she's taking the place of the Golden Witch in weaving these tales, she metaphorically is Sayo, aka Beato. But like metaphorically, not like actually physically, is my stance.
Sure. I think that it's very respectable to not want two individual characters that you like to be sublimated into one, at the risk of sacrificing two characters that you like into one character that is one less character to like. But I would argue that I would ask, like, does that make Sayo or Beatrice less of a character by being the same character, or Shannon and Canon, or Toya and Battler? Are they weaker because they're two different people that are now the same character?
No, they're stronger. They're stronger, yeah. But like one of your premises I don't agree with, because you were saying that's one less character to like, and it's the other way around. If the two characters make one, that's one more character to like. And I was gonna bring up exactly Sayo, because you can like Shannon, you can like Kanon, you can like Beato, and you can like Sayo, and Leon too. You can like all of these individually.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something that happened to the TV Trips page of Umineko, because it's different than what I remember, and they spell Toya with two O's, and it makes me want to kill somebody.
Tuya?
Tuya.
I want you to know that I was very, very active reader of this page, so it drives me crazy to see it spelled this way. There's still like more interesting things about how her name is spelled, but those are like very odd things about her. And let's talk about this.
Yes, I have a question, Pokey. So,
yes.
So in your mind, how do the logistics work at the end of October 6th? What exactly happens to Sayo?
In my mind, okay, when Beatrice and Battler are on the boat, and Beatrice jumps into the ocean and Battler jumps after her, that is the death of those two people. That is the death of Battler and Beatrice. And the people who wash up are Toya and a new person who would, I guess, be Sayo.
And is that because they decide to live as other people, or because like drowning affected their memory?
I don't think it's necessary for Sayo to have lost their memory to have Beatrice, part of them, died.
Okay.
I would say that the argument that I equals Y cannot be true because Ikuko has an existing backstory, like a family and like a background, and comes from a rich background. That isn't a counter to this theory because of the gold that vanishes. Because that gold is the source of the golden magic that can make any lie come true. So all Sayo would have to do is use the gold to set up this story that is now conjured into existence about Ikuko and the being an outcast from a family, that the outcast of a family being an excuse for the family to never be around her. So that's basically the gist of what I think happened, is that Sayo used that gold to get the riches, and then they became new people.
Okay, here's the counter argument though. The gold is on the island, And for her to use the gold, she would have to go to the island and transport it back to the mainland and go through all
They took a bard with them.
Actually, I have to side with Foki here. It is possible that she'd get the gold because she had a bunch of little bank accounts and stuff open where she could just pull money from the reserves that she had saved off the island that she converted to cash.
Okay, yeah, we can believe that's enough.
Yeah, and even with 1 bar of gold, which Battler and Beatrice took with them, they took 1 bar of gold onto the boat and it disappeared with Beatrice into the ocean. Remember when Battler closed his eyes and opened them?
Do we think that before inflation a bar of gold would be enough to buy a house?
I think that it'd be enough to do what Kinzo did.
A single bar? Damn!
Yeah,
No,
Kinzo
no,
did it with a single
like-
bar.
Insurance for like loans and stuff. Like build up a different fortune with gold, I guess.
Yeah, all Kinzo had to do was show a bar of gold and suddenly he got all of his wealth.
Hmm.
To be fair, he also had a lot of connections to powerful people.
But then how would they... Because like the media was all over it, how would they possibly hide from all that news coverage?
Well, because people don't know who Sayo is. They know Shannon and Cannon, maybe.
Okay, but
Maybe.
then...
And
but then you
also,
have-
no, actually, they wouldn't know anything about the servants living on that island because the message bottles haven't been discovered yet. They're totally...
But my point is, they're just two people who wash ashore. They have nothing. They have to get a house. They have, they have to get new identities. Like if you want to go and do that through the backdoor route by bribing everyone with gold, you'd need to have an insane amount of gold, and there's no way you could like hide all of that without like from the public. I think like with how much shit you'd have to do, something would
I think okay. I have a thing to interject about this. I feel like logistically speaking, this is whatever. Like the thing is that what bugs people about this specifically is actually not about logistically speaking. How could Sayo do this? Because sure, lots of things.
Unless you're Des.
Unless you're Des, and you're really, really annoyed about how you do this in the 1986. But what I'm saying is that like the emotional part about this is so much more like interesting to a lot of people because okay, so I have put in different things about there's a whole Reddit post which I linked, which is the Sayo is Ikuko, which is a very interesting Reddit post, and it has lots of people like bringing up very interesting evidence about how names are made and how they're referenced to numbers. And the thing is that like before we like go on about this, I actually want to hear what everybody's opinion about Ikuko is, because the thing is that like I know we have had many like different like podcast members who have vastly different opinions about Ikuko. You have to like Ikuko to even accept that Ikuko could be Sayo.
I guess unless you have a trash opinion of Sayo, which by that point, I mean, what's the point?
What's the point? There's transphobic fans of Umineko. People are really stupid. So yeah, I want everybody to give their idea. It's like just. This has nothing to do with Sayo, just like, what's your opinion about Ikuko?
Well, as I said on the previous book club episode, which if you're listening to this in the far future, it's the first EP6 book club. When I first read it, I really disliked Ikuko because she's so, I'm so high and mighty, child of man. I didn't like her at all. The way she was just mocking Angie and just her whole demeanor towards the story. This story that we all like, she's just trashing the story. I fucking hated Ikuko and Featherin, and then Go happened. She just, I didn't like her. But now on this reread, I find her so fucking funny. She's just so socially inappropriate in every situation. It's really funny. I like her now.
Okay, so what about you, Lurf?
I think Ikuko was a character that I appreciated more on a reread. Like I didn't like dislike her or anything. I was just like, oh okay. Like I don't really get your vibe. I couldn't get a read on her at first because of the tism probably. But after like rereading like her appearances and stuff, I kind of get like where her humor comes from, and I found myself really enjoying her antics and her banter with Angie, both as Featherine and as Ikuko herself. I just appreciate her. I think she's silly.
As for me, I think that I'm a little bit confused by Ikuko as a character. Because I enjoy Ikuko, I enjoy the scenes that Ikuko is in and the role Ikuko plays in them, but it's a little bit odd to reconcile with the fact that this totally unknown person just pops in. And I guess this is part of my bias towards I equals Y, is that I want to justify Ikuko's inclusion into the story.
Interesting.
Where, okay, what role do they have to play? Are they just some outsider who happened to learn the truth by cheating, by reading some other source, and then suddenly they're able to replace Beatrice? And there's also the fact that I kind of view Featherine as a separate character who is great. Like, all of the things that I like about Ikuko kind of sublimate into Featherine.
I have a question. Do you still have this opinion about Ikuko's inclusion not being very justified as a rereader?
I think that as a rereader, I find Featherine important, but I think I'm still waiting on this reread to learn about Ikuko, because so far we've only been learning Ikuko's face, Ikuko's presentation to the public as Itoi Kukuro and as Hachijo Toya.
Because I think Ikuko is such an important and integral part of Umineko's story, because the story happening in real life of Umineko is as important as the story happening in the meta world, and the story in real life centers around two characters, and that's Angie and Ikuko.
Oh, really? I would have guessed Angie and Toya.
Really?
I mean,
Of two characters.
Yeah, okay, three
yeah.
three in that case, yeah. Because we see the journey of Angie, we read about the story of Toya, but then Ikuko is the reason both of those stories are happening. She's like the trigger, I guess, like she initiated both of their journeys, in a way.
Yeah, like she needed to be around for Toya to get a kind of like platform to eventually reach Angie, even though that like wasn't their intention starting out. That's kind of like her role in the story. I don't really get the whole like needing to justify her place in the story a bit. I feel like she has a justified place in the story, because I mean, like, random characters show up in Umineko all the time. Yeah, sometimes they're like fantasy characters, but like Damakusa is a random ass character. Okanogi is here.
Bro, what is the justification for Cornelia? Why is Cornelia here?
Listen, I can justify the fantasy characters randomly showing up. You can just shrug that off. But like, you know, like we have characters who don't like fill a super like direct important role in the story, that like are there for a purpose, even though they're not like connected to the main events. Like, again, Amakusa has no connection to like the main like Rokenjima conflict, and his really like only interest is getting paid for his dirty work and as a mercenary and bodyguard. And Ikuko is just kind of like our view into this world of forgeries that also happens to connect back to Toya and the truth, which is why, you know, she caught Angie's attention, because she wrote things way more accurately than any other forgery writer.
Yeah, there's a bit of like where this I equals Y like arc of mine springs from is that I think that Ikuko, being the person who's writing, actually, you know what, here, Mushroom, do you want to talk about your views on Ikuko first?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So what I was actually going to say about my thoughts about Ikuko is actually this. So I actually wanted to bring up an old podcast member's view about Ikuko to explain what my thoughts about Ikuko are. So I don't know if any of the listeners remember Sayome, but
of course,
Sayome really, really hates Ikuko. Like, thinks Ikuko, like, so this is why I wanted to get everybody's opinion, because this is very important. This is going somewhere, because Sayome hates Ikuko and loves Saya. So like I think I remember mentioning to like Y equals I to Sayome, and Sayome like
like if I could see Sayome would be like looking at me with like utter disgust. Would have probably been the face that like if I would ever have explained this to you.
That one Baron sprite. That's the face she was
yes, exactly.
Ew.
So the thing about this is that I actually struggled with a lot of thoughts about Ikuko because I talked to Sayome a lot about her, and it comes from a lot of facts of like Sayome sees Ikuko as a person who is like an opportunist who basically, you know, picked like you could see Ikuko without love, like, you know, very harshly. You know, she's a opportunist who picked up this like random stranger off the side of the road, wrote incredibly like cruel like you know, murder fanfics about like real people, and like seemingly have a very bad grasp about human relationships and human emotions, which is kind of what like the very few chapters we have about her writing like any like mystery stories with Toya is about how she's like very good at writing like the mystery chunk, but very bad at writing people.
Bro, she's just autistic.
Or she just has a funny tisms. That's also very likely.
She's just like me for real.
So and all of that, like you could see her with very, very harsh reading. And I think at a point, like Sayome sees Ikuko as in a way a very villainous role in a like, even if you like think to like the point, like if you decided to read the whole scene about like her you know, basically saying that she's going to like, you know, expose Eva's diary, like, and strumming up all these things. Of course, like I don't agree with Sayome on this, but like talking to Sayome about this made me realize I was like, there's very, very uncharitable, like not charitable ways about reading like Ikuko's actions, which makes you not like her. I posted a link to this fanfic that I would always recommend, which is called Coracle, and it's a fanfic written 10 years ago, incredibly amazing, 81,000 words, and it's a short story collection about this person's interpretation of how Hachijo Toya and Ikuko meets, and it's great because I always like to rave about it, and it's probably one of my personal canonical understanding of like Ikuko comes from this fan fiction, but there's a lot of idea about like writing Ikuko as so I think 5 years ago I wrote this really funny Reddit post, which is why the fuck does Goda is in a part of Umineko's story, like what does he bring to like, you know, like the Umineko roster, like, you
what
know,
does he bring to the table? Food.
What is he bringing to?
I was gonna. Mushroom, you missed the opportunity. Come on, it was right there.
What does he bring to the dinner table?
Exactly.
You're a disgrace.
I'm so sorry.
Rose petals.
Exactly. So, what does Goda bring to the table? Sure. And the fact is that like I didn't really understand, because every single other player in the 18 people roster has very specific reasons why they're there, and Goda doesn't. But why is he there? And a lot of people, I got to read this very good Reddit answer from somebody, and they said it's because Goda doesn't have anything to do with his family. Like, that's why he's included. Like, he's a mundane kind of evil. He's just like a petty tyrant. And that's why Sayo didn't like him. And and having him die on this island just kind of sucks. But, like, you know, it's just a lesser evil in the way of being, like, he's just a person, like, he's the guy that you just don't like, that you work with. Like, he's annoying. Like, maybe you don't think about, like, you know, hitting him with a car, but, like, if he died in a collective car crash, you would be like, yeah, fuck him, whatever. Like,
how are you gonna circle this?
Yeah, if you're taking revenge on your twisted family, you might as well take out the asshole who's unrelated.
Yeah, exactly.
He's already there.
Yeah, so my opinions about Ikuko as a person she's like a very detached person. Like, she got that tism in her. Like, she doesn't understand human emotions in the way that like Toya clearly cares about people. Like, she is interested in the thrills of writing, and she's like, it's not saying that she's like a horribly shitty person, and like clearly she had built like a friendship with like Toya. And honestly speaking, I have zero idea why Ryukishi even thought about making them married, because like these two people don't have that kind of chemistry. Like they like I'm saying that like
QPR at best.
It's almost like people who objected that idea didn't know Ryukishi's intention with the character.
Oh my gosh.
but also like I'm just saying that like I would think that like Toya and Ikuko feels like two people who are very autonomously like writing stories and are like kindred spirits in a way that they enjoy mysteries, but not in the same way that I think
Butler and
Butler and Beato is.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think is what makes me, like, have a hard time with it. But, like, that's, like, Ikuko some people could see her as a very cruel person. I like to see her as a character who, you know, goes through a very interesting journey of her own. And that's also why I see Feathering and Ikuko as very different people. I actually think I said this in the authorship episode. I hope, everybody has been trying, this is for the viewer's sake as all. We're all listening to the authorship episode to take notes. I'm taking notes about my own theories. But Feathering to me feels like a combination of Battler and Ikuko.
Butler, not Toya?
Toya and Ikuko. And like that's what I think Feathering is, and it's not just Ikuko. That's also why I'm like, this is... Yeah, it's odd. It's weird. So yes, so go for it, Pokey. It's time for you to shine. Bring down the house.
Oh, it's time for me to shine.
Wait. Interjection to just 2 minutes. Mushroom, you made me realize something. Is the fact that Featherin has a cane meant to represent the Toya part because he's crippled?
Oh my god.
Is that why she has a cane?
Oh my god, I thought it was Beato's cane.
Wait, Beta doesn't have a cane. Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
I'm like, shut up, I equals Y.
You say it like it's a slur.
I'll just insert it into every single conversation, even after this.
No, shut up. That doesn't even fucking matter. Eva Beatrice also has a cane.
Canes are just a witch thing.
Canes are just an aesthetic.
I don't remember Bern having a cane.
Well, I'm saying Evatrice has a cane.
Well, Burn is too good for that.
What about Wanda? What about Chatomate? Let me think.
Well, Lambda's like, I don't need a cane. If you need a cane to walk, you should just try harder.
Shit, Maria has a cane too. Oh my god, it's just a golden... There's no fucking way, it's just a Beato thing because...
Oh my gosh.
Featherin has it, Beato has it, Eva Beato has it, Maria has it. Does Angie have one?
I don't think so.
I'm trying to think of if any version of her has a cane.
Wait, Vergilia doesn't have it. Case closed. That's no evidence.
But Vergilia is... Vergilia was an endless witch, became a finite witch. She has access to the rule X, but I don't think she was ever a golden witch.
Yeah, she wasn't. You're right. Fuck.
This is scrambling right now.
Yeah, she also has a magic wand, though. So.
Well, Ikiko's not a golden witch.
Well, that's your opinion.
When is it stated in the text that Ikiko is a golden witch?
It's subtext, and I'm about to prove it.
Okay.
Okay.
But first, I will say up front.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Yeah, but first a preamble. Because this theory, I like it a lot. It does not mesh well with other theories I have, in particular the ones about how Umineko and Higurashi connect by the way of Ikuko being the author of both. I'd say that does not mesh well with Sayo being Ikuko. So I will admit that up front.
I wonder if that's because one is right and the other is wrong. I'm joking. Go on.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is that I don't think they can both be right, but I like them both individually. I think that there's also the matter of feathering to consider. I do not think feathering is literally Ikuko. I believe that feathering is sort of symbolic in the same way that Burn represents miracles and lambda delta represents certainty. Featherine is pretty much the concept of creation. She's a creator. And so I don't believe that necessarily it's like a Virgilia and Ronove equaling Genji. I'm putting it off. I can't remember who the human version of Virgilia is.
Kumasawa.
Why can I not forget Kumasawa's name?
Nanjo?
Nanjo? Yeah, Nanjo and Gap. It's not like Nanjo and Gap, okay. But like Gap is the concept of things disappearing when you look away from them. And so I don't believe that feathering necessarily has to apply to every single thing that we say about Ikuka. That's a bit out of left field. But if we're ready, I do have a diagram.
Okay.
Motherfucker came prepared.
Yeah, let me just share my screen.
This is so exciting. I love when. Oh my god.
Okay.
Will this be on the test?
Yes, it will be on the test.
Oh boy.
Alright, I'm taking notes.
Alright, let's start with the meta world.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm ready to learn.
And we start with Legend. It's a tale written by Beatrice. Beatrice also writes Turn, and that is when Meta Battler enters the picture and starts debating with Beatrice about the mystery. Then Beatrice writes Banquet, and then Alliance, all with Battler as a participant, reacting to the story as it goes on. And Banquet marks a place in the story where Battler's reactions to the story start to actually shape the story itself, where Beatrice will make changes mid-story based on Battler's reaction. Like when Battler starts thinking things are too cruel, Beatrice will intervene, even if it's only to weaken Battler's defenses. She is changing the story according to his wants, and that's something that was not pre-written.
Okay.
Alliance is where Battler is a super active participant with Blue Truth alongside Angie. Then, no longer are the stories written by Beatrice in the meta world. Now we come to End, which is written by Lambda Delta. It's a tale by Lambda Delta. Beatrice, after the end of Alliance, gives up, but because Lambda and Burn want the game to continue, and they do not want to be bored by it just ending like this, they chain Beatrice up, and they force the game board to continue even without her wanting to participate. Then, Dawn, Battler takes over it as the game master. He's the one who wrote Dawn. Requiem is a tale that is told by Berncastel. It is an interpretation of the truth, a way to check answers, and it includes Berncastel's worst possible interpretations, the most unloving interpretations of every character.
What does zero media literacy does to a motherfucker?
Yeah. So Burn is taking the worst possible interpretation of the characters. Then there's Twilight, which Battler tells part of it, Burn tells part of it, and then we get down here to Land of the Golden Witch.
Is that the drop TP3?
Yes. If you are not in the know, between Turn and after Turn, Ryukishi planned on writing Land of the Golden Witch, but heard feedback about Turn and scrapped it and rewrote it and turned it into Banquet, which was a bit more feasible for audiences and less challenging after Turn was something that audiences struggled with.
Which is funny because that's exactly what Beata does regarding Battler.
Well, it's funny because Beatrice in episode 8 claims to have written Land and sent it out in a message bottle. And is disappointed that it never got to see the light of day. So Beatrice wrote Land. Then there's Confession, which we do not have a meta explanation for. Any questions so far?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Can I go to the bathroom?
No. Say it in Spanish.
Let me think. ¿Puedo ir a lo bañero?
No.
Ah, mierda.
Now, so that's how the works are attributed in the meta world. But in the future worlds, which I'm defining future here as everything that is learned about after the events of the Rokenjima disaster, not necessarily all in Anji's journey time. But who wrote Legend in Turn? Well, those were message bottles that were discovered that were signed from someone taking the name of Maria Ushiramiya, but we know from Anji that the handwriting, it's not right. I believe that's the case.
Yes.
So, yeah, Maria didn't write these. Someone taking Maria's name wrote these, put them in message bottles, and they were discovered later. Now, Banquet, Alliance, End, and Dawn. As of the beginning of episode 6, we know that these 4 tales were released as forgeries by Itoi Kukuro,
Okay.
which is the pen name of Ikuko and Toya. So, Banquet, Alliance, End, and Dawn, they were written by them. Them meaning singular or plural, depending on your interpretation. Requiem, I do not believe we quite have an explanation for in the real world, quote-unquote. Twilight is a story that, in the middle of Twilight, the game, the Twilight tale is started by, I believe it is Ikuko, or Itoi Kukuro, based on how you interpret that scene. This person's face right here, they're seen going up to their typewriter, and they want to write a tale for Anji. And if you'll remember, at the end of episode 7, Battler said that he would be writing the next tale for Anji. Then we come down to Land. Land, presumably a message bottle that was never found. Very important, never found.
Okay, I'm scared.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, Land is very important to this theory, of course.
Really?
Okay.
Yes, actually. Confession is a message bottle that was reportedly found by Ikuko, and that's how they learned the truth, and that is how they wrote Banquet, Alliance, Dawn, and End with such knowledge of how the actual truth is.
Can we swap that around? Make Land allegedly found by Ikuko and Confession never found.
Well, that's where I'm going with this.
I don't want Confession to be a thing. I do not want Confession to be real.
Well, guess what? It doesn't get to be a thing in this theory. I'll convert you yet, Des.
Yo, let's go.
So, going back and comparing these side by side. Legend in Turn, they were written by Sayo. Land was also written by Sayo. Never found. And there could have been any number from 0 to, infinite number of other tales that were written. But these 3 are the known message bottles.
Yo, Endless Witch.
Yeah. So, after Land never shows up, that is when Itoi Kukuro writes Banquet. And this would be when Battler enters the picture in the meta world. When the story starts getting told to Battler is at Turn, and when Battler starts having an impact on the story is Banquet and Alliance. And Dawn, in the meta world, that's where Battler is actually writing the story himself, which I believe correlates to Toya writing part of the story, a significant chunk of the story, instead of just being a bouncing board for Ikuko's ideas. And End is where things get interesting. Because in meta, it's written by Lambda, but out of meta, written by Itoi Kukuro. So, going through this, assuming that I equals Y is true, I will acknowledge bias up front because I'm coming into this with a conclusion already set and attributing evidence to it. But let's say that right here is Sayo. Sayo is actually Ikuko, in the same way that Battler is actually Toya. Then this starts to become a story of, after Land never shows up, with Beatrice voices disappointment about, a new tale is written that is not a message bottle that was found, that actually includes Ava as a person who escaped the island, which reflects reality, which could never have been expected or known about necessarily when these 2 were written. So I believe that this is the story of Sayo basically continuing to write more message bottles and showing them and writing them alongside Toya, showing Turn, which was already a message bottle, showing Banquet and responding to feedback, responding strongly to feedback and alliance. And end is a bit of a low point, because I believe it was Mushroom who said that end is meant to be a hit piece on the Witch Hunters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is, if you're arguing a non-I equals Y story, perhaps it could be Toya, who is starting to get jaded about the way people are treating their family, and is making a character of Erica, who is basically everything that they don't want the audience to be. But I believe that Sayo also has a horse in this race, because they feel like they need to keep writing. They are chained into it until they basically hand the story off to Toya at dawn. And then I guess that at that point, Requiem is meant to be the Witch Hunter's work. This is the work that is all of the horrible readers who have no love whatsoever. They are interpreting things in this terrible, terrible light. Maybe true, maybe untrue. They just want it to be a terrible tale that they can tear the guts out of. And I believe that Confession was never actually written. It's not a message bottle that was discovered by Ikuko. It's just Ikuko. Because she would already know that, because if Toya is just getting their memories back, or has not gotten them yet, how would they be able to write Banquet and Alliance without knowing who the culprit is? And Confession is just such a weird explanation for how Ikuko could have the same feeling of writing as the actual message bottles. I think that it only makes sense if the message bottles and the forgeries were actually written by the same person. And I think that concludes my TED Talk for now.
It has the same feel as what? What are you referring to?
I'm quoting episode 6, where Angie says that they have the same scent.
Yeah.
Yep. Dawn and Alliance and Banquet have the same scent as Legend and Turn.
Yeah, but that could be just Ikuko's skill at writing. You don't need Ikuko to be the evolution of Sayo.
Insane-tism that allows her to read 2 message bottles and instantly replicate the writing style of said message bottles.
Because what enables them to be widely and publicly and almost unanimously regarded as the best forgery writers is, one, Ikuko's ability to replicate the style of writing of the first 2 message bottles, and then Eva's notion of how close to reality the way they write the characters are, that comes from Toya, without realizing that he's doing this throughout by accessing locked memories. He's just writing these characters, unknowing that he's writing them so closely related to how they actually were in real life. He thinks he's just writing fictional characters. And then Eva is like, wait a minute, someone from the island is writing this shit. And it's basically those two, and then Confession is what enables them to know the truth behind Sayo, and these 3 things together is what enables them to write such true to real life tales. I don't think you need a Sayo to evolve into Ikuko at level 25 for that.
I guess my question then becomes, is the ridiculousness of Confession as a concept, of Confession existing, is that an issue with authorial intent? Or is it literally not make sense for Sayo to write a confession, a person who loves mysteries, to just write the damn answer after asking for people to try to understand?
It's a gamble.
A gamble where, the gamble of what?
Because just like she does with the epitaph, for magic to exist, you need a gamble.
Yeah, but those are clues. Confession is not a clue.
Okay. Well, I mean, personally, I dislike the existence of, confession.
Okay, so now let's go back 1,000 steps. What is everybody's opinion about Confession? Sorry, Lurv, continue.
Oh my god, okay, my opinion about Confession is, okay, I don't think it should exist, but I love it, but I don't think it should exist. I think it's very good. It was a good read in the manga. I read it, I cried, I threw up, I shit my pants, it was wonderful. I'm sad that it's real. And especially don't like the idea of it having, like, been something Sayo wrote. I especially don't like the idea of it something that, like, Ikuko and Toya just, like, stumbled upon by chance. Like, does Ikuko seem like the kind of person to take a walk along, like, a sandy beach? No, she's holed up in her room writing stupid murder fanfic. I like to think that they actually got the truth from Ava when she allegedly went to visit them from the one true truth book, her diary.
Well, the problem is...
But that implies Eva knows the truth about Sayo.
Well, Ava should.
I mean, yeah, she does. Ava should know the truth about Sayo, because if the vague events of episode 3 are supposed to mirror what went on, she did have the whole, like, ceremony where, like, she became a witch, and we know that Sayo, like, waits in the bomb room with the Beato dress, like, I am Beato, and you will have my gold, and I'm gonna confess everything to you because you're here now, and that's how, like, Ava would, like, know to go to Kuwadorian and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we, even Banquet 3, we have a lot of the EP3, we have a lot of discussions about if Evas have ever actually met Sayo's.
I think she probably did. I also think that Ava could just be smart enough to figure it out in hindsight.
Well, the problem is that, okay, let's talk about, I want to talk a little bit about Confession, because I like the fact that this episode is just literally a ploy for us to talk about all the other topics that we wanted to come back and revisit, which is literally authorship theory, like our thoughts about Confession and, like, so on and so forth. Okay, my personal point is
Can
this.
I say one last thing about
Yes.
Banquet? Okay. I think that Banquet being a response to getting the, like, diary info from Ava, possibly as an attempt to jog Toya's memory, knowing, like, seeing that he was Battler, makes a lot of sense, because Ikuko would get the diary information of, like, what vaguely happened. It's like, I'm gonna write a hit piece on Ava. It'll be so funny, you guys.
I like that, but Banquet literally cannot be written with information from the diary, because before that, Ichoi Kukuro would not have published any work that would have attracted Ava's attention.
Yeah, I think Alliance is written after Eva. Alliance was written after Eva visited. Anyway, that's not the point. We're gonna. But what I was gonna talk about Confession is this. Let's go back 1,000 steps and say, like, Des said that, like, Confession could be a risk. I could totally agree with the idea that Confession is a risk. Because while I understand that Confession is really, like, really just, like, raw, and it just basically says every single piece of answer, there's many points in Sayo's plan that Sayo has purposely made points of failure, like that like the whole idea about, like, sending letters out so it could be sent back, or, like, you know, if it got sent back early, then somebody would have noticed, like, the whole thing about sending the money information, if, like, you know, she made a fake address and then made it get sent there and it get it sent back, and the fact of, or, like, you know, basically, you know, setting up this whole epitaph thing. I imagine that in a way that if Sayo was thinking that I would write, like, 1,000 message bottles, and in one of those message bottles, I would write the truth. Like, that's a kind of gamble. Like, I understand that.
Can I add to that?
Sure, go for it.
I think the biggest, most plausible explanation for, like, in-world explanation for why Sayo would write Confession and throw into the ocean is, well, because Umineko is, and then there were none if it was good, and that's what happens in And Then There Were None. And Sayo is heavily inspired by it.
Don't slander Agatha Christie. What are you doing?
Well, she should have written better then.
God damn, the hot And Then There Were None tape?
She should have written Umineko. That's what Des was trying to say.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay, so the second thing about Lurf saying that is it possible that Eva would have something to contribute to Confession? My personal take is this.
let's say 1,000 step backwards, let's say Eva wrote confession. I don't like the conceptual idea that Eva wrote confession, because even if...
What?
No,
Wait,
no.
who claimed that?
No, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm saying that, like, what, like, you know, like, what is confession? Like, where was it included, is my point. Like, is confession included as a random message bottle equal somehow found on the, like, on the island, or, like, on the beach, or was it a part of, like, the Book of Truth? Let's say that, like, if that makes any sense. Like, as in, I'm not saying the exact emotions of confession is, like, it recorded in the Book of Truth. I mean by, like, just the fact that, like, Sayo's, like, predicament. And my personal take is that even if, you know, Sayo, that Eva, like, you know, Lerf said, like, Eva met Sayo in EP3 and was told about her circumstances, I don't think Eva could have possibly, in the end, at a moment of her clarity, forgave this person who basically did, like, inadvertently kill their whole family, if that makes any sense. Like,
I don't think so.
Well, if Requiem's version of events is to believe, then Beto had a bomb, but there were no evidence that, like, there was being steps taken to actually kill them.
yeah.
Nothing happened.
But I'm saying that, like, let's say we say parts of Requiem is real. Like, as in, like, let's say, like, all the unflattering parts are not real and the flattering parts are real. Let's just say that for now. Like, if we say that, like, even despite about that, like, Eva, we know that after 1986 and up to her life in 1998, her life is absolute trash fire shit, and she is in so much emotional turmoil. And the fact that she has to, like, you know, be doing, like, you know, 5D chess with, like, Angel to, like, I don't think she would have had it in her to have, you know, came to term with all of these things. I don't think, like, that is not a woman who looks like she died content, happy, or a forgiving heart. Like, if that makes any sense.
But why does she need to be content with it? Like, why are you trying to find an explanation?
Well, I'm saying this explanation about where does confession lies. Like,
as in, how did it end up in Ikuko's possession?
yes, correct.
Okay, so you gave me an idea when you were explaining your thing.
Okay, so go for it.
Do you want to finish your thought, or can I say this now?
Oh, my ending thought is actually just about the fact of, like, I understand why people don't like confession and don't like the, like, I don't like how contrived it is that out of anybody in the world that Ikuko could have found confession, but I'm also one of those people, I think I mentioned this in the authorship theory, which is that EP3 and even EP3 does not need to be solved by like Sayo. It doesn't need to be solved by Shannon and Canon being the same person, which is why I stand by the fact that I don't think in EP3 they even knew that, like, Sayo is a person. They just like, I think I mentioned this in the authorship theory, and which is why the whole, like, the two boiler room door thing happens, is that, like, Canon and Shannon could be two different people, and one of them just has to live to do the rest of the murders. And so,
Mushroom, you want to see me connect all these dots?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, Wendy, thank you for vomiting all of these concepts. I am now gonna make a soup out of it.
oh god.
Oh boy.
Yo, let me cook. I'm about to become God and bring something to the table. So, remember how, like, 2,000 steps ago, we mentioned how Banquet was probably Banquet that attracted Eva's attention, and it was after Banquet and before Alliance that Eva met Ikuko. Well, let's go forward 1,000 steps, which is backwards 1,000 steps from where we're at. Mushroom, thank you so much for establishing this unit of measurement.
1,000 years.
So, of course, like, it is kinda hard to imagine how Ikuko would have the manpower to search every beach and survey every single grain of sand for when a message bottle shows up. However, Eva has the whole Ushinomiya fortune, and it would very much be in her interest to gather every message bottle before it reaches the public, because, you know, she's one of the most suspected people. I believe at a point she stopped caring, but at the start she was probably investing a lot of her money into stopping these message bottles from becoming, you know, public knowledge. And it is conceivable that during that operation she came across confession. And then when she went to visit Ikuko, inside the Book of the Single Truth, there was also the confession sheets. And that's how they got possession of both of those.
Interesting. So
I like the idea that Ava found confession a lot better than the idea of Ikuko finding confession. Because like you said, Ava has the resources to actually search for it, rather than come across it by accident and be the same person that come across Battler by accident.
I mean, she does live on that stretch of the beach, you know?
Yo, all the currents of the sea around Rokkenjima converge in Ikuko's personal seashore.
Confession just washed up with Toya, actually. At the same time. Sayo reverse pickpocketed Battler when they were going on the boat, like when he closed his eyes and like put Confession in his pocket.
Put confession in his pants.
Kiko like picked him up and like brought him in and got him a new change of clothes while she was doing the laundry. She's like, what's this paper about? She's like, oh my god, there were planned serial murders on the island just over there. That's crazy.
You know what? Fuck it.
If
If we're doing I equals Y, then fuck it. They didn't bring gold. The weight of the gold in that boat is metaphorically the weight of all the hundreds of message bottles that Sayo did not actually throw into the sea. They just left Rokkenjima with all of this in mind already.
See, the real plot twist.
You're just stuffing her bra with all of the paper. She doesn't need the bottles anymore. It's all paper.
Yes.
The real plot twist is Sayo never wrote any message bottles. Ikugo just threw like some of her stories out into the ocean and they washed up.
She just had a divine revelation that, oh my gosh, it must be Sayo.
The truth of Umineko isn't that Sayo isn't that Ikuko is actually Sayo. It's that Sayo was actually Ikuko.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Sayo wrote the message bottles retroactively as Ikuko after surviving. That's the real truth.
It was just tiny bombs, like it was a government conspiracy, and Ikuko was like, wouldn't it be interesting if the servants did it?
She's covering it up, dude. She's a snitch. She's an op.
Yeah.
She's working for the Japanese government.
They didn't actually stop the military operation. They were still conducting experiments to rehash the war in that island.
Why do you think Okanogi is involved with the Ushiromiya group, dude?
Yes, Okonogi is involved with the military in every When They Cry work except Umineko. This is a government cover-up. Ikuko was hired to cover up the real story.
Dude, the reason that fucking what's his face, Amuksa took Angie to the island was because she knew too much and you had to cover up the government conspiracy, but she eventually just got in on it.
You know what? Ikuko is the reason World War III doesn't happen and we never go to Ciconia.
That's true. This is like a diverging timeline.
Yo, it's called the Glass Sea because it's from all the bottles.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
Sayo really littered a lot.
See, the truth is that the bomb on the island was actually way bigger than it was, and that kicked off World War III and created the Glass Sea.
So everything that happens in the future is just a message bottle in and of itself, and what actually happened is completely different.
Guys,
Well, if Ciconia Part 2 released, maybe we would know.
Yeah.
guys, I think we truly lost it.
I think we need to go back.
How do we feel about the part of my theory where Toya starts responding to work as Sayo writes it until eventually becoming the author himself?
That is pretty neat in concept. I'll give you that. I do like that if I was a I equal Y truther. But I also think it works as them writing this, like, say they don't know the truth for Banquet. So, like, Banquet's written together and, like, you know, like, Toya doesn't know
Well, how
much.
could you write Banquet without knowing rules XYZ?
Well,
I have a lot of thoughts about that.
learn from the first two. Or we go with my theory that they got the Ava Diary secrets, and maybe Ikugo, like, wrote some other fanfic before this that was, like, pretty accurate, but because, like, Toya was there, but, like, not, like, the complete truth, and Ava was like, hold on a minute, and then they got the diary, and Ikugo's like, wouldn't it be funny if we wrote Banquet? But anyway, it's whatever. They know shit. They write Banquet. Also, Battler could know stuff in his subconscious. And by Battler, I mean Toya. Like, under the surface stuff, you know, stuff that is instinctual to write, but he doesn't really know why yet. And as
Yeah.
time goes along, Toya's recovering his memories and like understanding more of the story until eventually by dawn he remembers, shit, wait, I was Ushuruya battler all along.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the 3 rules are Battler can't do a murder, and then,
What?
Wait, what's the fucking 3 rules again? I don't...
The 3 rules are, 1, anything can happen as long as people who observed it agree upon it, and the golden butterflies mean that they're either dead within the hour or they're an accomplice. And another one is that the accomplices change every time because all the adults are in debt. And another rule is somebody please stop me.
Okay, cool. That's whatever. But like, okay, my point is, sorry, I don't mean that's whatever, but I'm saying that like you could write Banquet without knowing who Sayo is. Like,
Actually, counterpoint, you can solve Umineko with Legend in turn because I have seen someone do it.
oh yeah.
That's very true.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention a very important thing. Banquet is solvable without Shkanon. That's because they wrote that before getting confession. It makes sense.
yeah. That's
Yeah, but without confession or without insider knowledge, be it from Sayo or Battler or confession, you wouldn't know how the freaking, I don't know. I agree that you could solve it with Legend in turn, and that is one interpretation. I think that ultimately, I feel like having Ikuko be, first of all, like confession, how it's written out of the picture, like the idea of it being stumbled upon is ridiculous. I would prefer that Ikuko be a random person who figured out the truth and then worked with somebody who happened to turn out to be Battler to write these stories. I would rather that than Ikuko cheating.
yeah. That's more about how we hate Yukishi, and it's less about if we Like, I want to personally go punch Yukishi for a lot of decisions.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, but even if
You're burning our bridges. How are we gonna eventually interview Ryukishi
Oh,
if you
wait. Just kidding. I love you. No,
Yeah.
Yukishi, I love you so much.
how are we gonna direct the Ciconia stage play if we keep doing this?
Ryukishi, you are the most important person in my life. Like, more important than my family. Like, you are my proverbial father. Like, I need you to write more stories. Please, just come out with new stories, man.
All right, time to be harsh. Time to say this like nobody wants it to be heard.
There's more. I'm so-
Confession, however much you dislike confession,
That's me.
it's fucking canon.
No.
Yes.
We have to reckon with it somehow. Whether it's just not a written work.
How about this, Pokey? How about this? What about the bits in the Umineko manga, part of Confession, in the solution section that directly contradict things that happen in the original story?
my
I
God,
think the manga
chill,
counts
yo.
as secondary canon material because there are things in the manga that did not happen in the visual novel. And the visual novel was written first and was Rikishi's original idea and story.
It's tough.
Got him.
I don't know. Parts of me. I think Des and I came up with a solution with what it is, which is just that something. They borrowed ideas from Confession and what they wanted.
Wait, wait, I agreed with that idea?
So we talked about this because in Confession, Sayo writes about tricks that is in EP4, correct? That is, like, remember that.
That was my...
That was...
I remember coping.
Well, I remember in Confession the chain of locked rooms from Banquet is mentioned.
Yes, correct.
What do you mean from Milan?
Yeah.
Oh, and the trial of like asking George and Jessica and Battler.
No, I don't know if the trial exists, but I know for sure that Jessica getting her head blown off by a cannon is a real drawing shot that I remember on the phone. And I think about that, and I think, if anything, Yukoko adopted that. I don't know, man. I fucking hate Yukishi. He doesn't know that there's 2 boiler room doors.
I think that the conclusion of they possibly just borrowing elements from Confession instead of Confession actually reflecting the tricks that were used. If I remember correctly, at first that was our cope explanation for the things we couldn't solve, but then we ended up solving them.
I don't remember.
That's so fucking in my favor. I completely didn't think about confessional mentions tricks that are banquet and alliance, so they were written by the same damn person.
No.
What? That's why saying.
What if confession is just fan fiction, though?
That's like saying 2 plus 3 equals 5 or 3 plus 2 equals 5. You're just changing the thing around. It still makes sense the other way around.
You flipping it turnways.
I flipped it turnways.
This is it's the
All I'm saying is that confession having the same, like, hinting at these, they were fucking story ideas that Sayo had that were message bottles that were not found.
Okay,
Well, they
but
could also be message bottles that Ikuko got a hold of and then used those tricks in her real
Oh,
story.
Ikuko's got like fucking 12 of these things just in the back room.
Okay, consider this, you guys. Consider, we put I equal Y in the box for a second, and we consider, what if confession is just Ikuko's funny, autism-driven psychoanalysis of Sayo Yasuda?
What if it's Asayo's funny autism confession of themselves?
Why would Sayo write a confession for herself? She wants people to figure her out. She doesn't want to tell people. That goes against her entire deal.
Why would she write confession and put it in a message bottle for Ikuko?
And then there were none! It's a funny reference!
Yeah,
was
but
a
that's
lot.
the same thing. Why Sayo wouldn't write it after? Why would Sayo write it on the island? Why would Sayo write it after the island? They're the same fucking
Because
question.
Ryukishi forgot what Sayo's character was and forgot the point
What?
of Umineko when he wrote
Yo,
confession.
where are we? Where are we? What's going
The manga
on?
goes against the core message of Umineko.
No, we're saying that Ryukishi doesn't understand Sayo? Who understands
Ryukishi
Sayo? then?
forgot what he was saying when he wrote the manga.
Does Sayo understand Sayo?
I think, okay, does Sayo understand Sayo is a really fucking huge question.
I don't think Sayo understands herself. That's why she wrote so many murder mysteries.
Yeah, that was a stupid thing to ask. You're totally right. I took myself into a hole.
This, guys, I think we have accidentally jumped off the deep end for the second time of the episode. So let's think.
Oh my god.
Let's
Calm down.
Let's all think about this.
I got a heated gamer moment. My apologies.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Okay, so
I'll never apologize.
okay.
Fine, I take it back then.
Well, okay. Everybody first needs to apologize to Ryukishi. We all love him.
I'm sorry, Ryukishi. Mwah.
What the fuck did I say to Ryukishi? I'm sorry that you wrote a shitty explanation for Ikuko writing the truth.
Rikishi, I'm sorry that all the supplementary material you write after the main story is usually not as good.
Rikishi, I'm sorry that people pressured you into not putting more hints that Ikuko is actually Sayo because people didn't like the idea of Ikuko being married to Battler because they couldn't read subtext.
You know what?
Rikishi, I'm sorry that people really wanted confirmation on your story that was designed to never have confirmation, and you had to write the Umineko manga, and you forgot the point of Sayo's whole deal.
You know what? I'm sorry Ryukishi used to thought that it was a good idea to write EP9. I'm so mad about that today.
You know what? Yes, it is totally. I think that it is totally conceivable that Ryukishi forgot the character of Sayo and how it worked because he fucking forgot how the character of Beato worked in
He wrote
EP9.
Gosatsu too. Don't
Ryukishi,
forget.
I'm so sorry that you fell off like a puppet with its strings cut.
This is why Ryukishi's never gonna give us Ciconia and never gonna come onto our podcast. Those two things.
Like either of those were a possibility ever.
They're equally possible in the sea of
They're equal. You know what? That's true.
I think we need to practice some yoga.
Everyone, let's take a deep breath. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out.
Yeah, let's do the down special.
Okay.
Okay, are we calm?
Okay. I feel
No.
like
You want to go, Moki?
A little bit. Alright, go ahead.
Okay, so so far we have talked about, confession and how the logistics of confession is. And I think for the fact that we have mentioned confessions this many times and we even had a whole episode on it, and the fact is that every single person who wasn't on the confession episode has also equal amount of thoughts that they wanted to say about confession. And the thing is, I believe that like just like everything else we have in Umineko, a lot of things we just don't have a collective consensus on, which is kind of why we have the podcast in the first place. Like I think Des said this a lot when we, after like 2 years into the podcast, is that being on this podcast made us better Umineko readers. That like, you know.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
God damn.
No. Yes, I mean that's exactly what I mean. Like, I read Umineko 10 years ago, and it was the most revolutionary piece of work I ever read. But like, I didn't understand. Like, I was incredibly emotionally attached, like, to lots of things that happens in it. But I didn't truly start like, analyzing and talking about Umineko like until like I was on this podcast, and it was the whole point. And the thing is that like I think the fact that we have such strong opinions and why we want to fit everything together is the fact that like Ryukishi, due to his good grace, and hasn't decided to completely ruin this piece of work for us yet, and decided to still leave a lot of the mysteries, leave a lot of the mysteries open, like the fact that
Ryukishi, I'm sorry for shitting over the fact that you left so many mysteries over by creating the podcast and being the best reader ever and solving all the riddles.
Yeah, like, and the thing I wanted to say is that I think despite the fact of how we feel about how we want to fit confession into the grander scheme of Umineko and how we feel about it, I feel like we could all like sit around and agree that confession itself, without having to jam it through any of our meta theory like discussion, is that it itself is very good. Like, the emotion conveyed in it is very good. It is the closest that anybody has, wrote a very good story about people feeling about their bodies and the horrible world we live in, and so on and so forth.
Amazing manga panels, beautiful drawings, and just like incredibly raw emotions. And like, yes, sure, it is also incredibly inconvenient for every single person who wants to write a meta explanation of Umineko, which is why. But like, I think, while lots of people wish for confession to not exist, I'm glad it exists. Evil mushroom be like.
Evil mushroom. Yeah, and I think it's like that's what I think makes this very hard for everybody. I think like the fact that we all like confession, so we want to include it somehow, but we also like in the fact that it is not bad, that's why we can't dismiss it. Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that like Lerf
it's not Go, because like our visual reaction to Go is not canon.
Exactly.
Our visual reaction to confession is why though?
Exactly.
Why is it canon?
Yeah, like Lerf said, like you read confession and you cry and you scream and you vomit and you roll around on the ground, but like, it's not that like it's not the feeling of reading EP9 and being like, why did Yukishi write this? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this discussion difficult. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, I think like that's a similar idea about ikuko in the scenario. Like, why do we feel so like the psychology of people who oppose ikuko equals sayo is that like I think a lot of people have very, very attached ideas about what sayo story is about, and like Ryukishi also gave us a lot of freedom to think about Sayo's story. If I like, it's the point like he doesn't tell us a lot of things about her, even though he already did, like throughout, like in the manga and in the VN itself. And the fact that like if Sayo did turn out to be a woman who writes murder mysteries for fun with like Toya, is kind of weird. Like, like this is the end point of that. Like, I think my point about like ikuko, like we've gone off topic so much, but like let's come back to the whole ikuko and sayo.
How many steps do we have to respect for this one, Mushroom?
Let's say 728. 19 steps. Okay, 19 steps. So
19 paces.
let's talk about like what kind of person is Ikuko. Like the fact is that like my reason why I'm saying that is that like you know like you know who like we know who Sayo is like. We know how Sayo wrote her stories. Like you know. That's kind of like you know we follow so much about Beatrice and how she writes, but like you know does Ikuko did this because she hates like all these people?
That's why I like that episode we did of analyzing Ikuko so much, because Ikuko is a real character. It's just that her characterization is hidden behind so many layers of subtext that to try to even start trying to understand Ikuko, you have to have a significant understanding of the story.
You have to have a very high IQ to understand Ikuko.
Yes.
So as far as what Ikuko is like, I'm gonna frame this as an I equals Y truther. So don't groan.
Mm-hmm.
But Ikuko writes these stories with disdain, and for the Ushiro Miyas.
Okay, yeah, 3-year ones.
And that is something that Toya reckons with, adds love to the story, because whether he remembers it or not, he is an empathetic person who was family with these people.
Okay, here's a theme. Sorry, continue.
Yes. I believe that this might be a bit controversial, but honestly, I know it in my heart to be true, is that Beatrice is, how do I say this non-harshly? Beatrice does not see things with as much love as she wants to be seen herself. She sees the worst in... Okay, this is going to sound bad. She sees the worst interpretation of Kinzo, the Kinzo who killed all of the other members
Objection.
of his troop. Yes?
I slammed down my objection button. If you read the first 2 episodes of Umineko, Kinzo is treated way more charitably than he is in pretty much every other instance of Umineko, in which he is just this sad, like, grieving man who, like, Beato just, like, feels pity for and even seems to love to some extent, which is very strange when you consider, like, later on when, like, episode 3, 4, and everything comes around where, like, we actually start seeing Kinzo's death and, like, Beato, like, actively, like, mocking him and stuff. Like, end of episode 2, like, Beato's, like, chilling and playing games with Kinzo. Like, yeah, he dies in the end, but that's just, like, because, like, everyone dies in the bomb. That's how it goes. And Kinzo's just having a blast. Like, Kinzo's not, like, upset about it. He's like, ooh, I'm at the banquet with my dead wife.
Objection sustained, but on the condition that I think that the end of turn does show disdain for Kinzo, even if overall he's framed in that light. There's also the matter in this discussion of the message bottles versus the story that we see when we're reading the VN, because I can't remember who said it, but you can't fit all of Umineko inside of 8 message bottles.
What if you wrote real small, though?
Yeah.
What if you could have just printed the QR code? Who's skipping it?
Yeah, actually, it's a skill issue. A real writer should be able to fit it in a message bottle. So, like, how much of what we see is what's...
We don't know how big the bottles are, dude.
Well, I had that image that I got from the anime that I put on my thing, but again...
Anime's not real.
Yeah.
What anime?
Sorry, what anime? No, I must have misspoke.
I wanted to... My counter-argument from, like, 3,000 steps ago, regarding whatever you said that I don't remember. Sorry,
This is going.
I'm dying as a person.
It was about Beatrice.
But I remember my counter argument. So another thing that goes against I equals Y is the fact that thematically Feadorin is supposed to be this neutral ground. So yeah, it was about the animosity with which they write. Sayo would be writing everyone. In this case, Ikuko would be writing everyone. Because Ikuko is supposed to be the neutral ground. One, because she's so above every other character in this story that she just doesn't pick sides. They're just characters. She doesn't feel... Her emotions don't attune with those of them, because once she goes on living her normal life, well, her normal life isn't concerned about what things these characters have gone through. She's just on a different point of existence, like us.
This woman is just having headcanons about a bunch of people. Like, this is her headcanon.
Like, she's just a neutral ground. She doesn't have to pick a side because she's above them. She's not involved in this. And also, even real life Ikuko, she's just an outsider. That's a plot point. It's just she has no business like saying this or that about this family because she has no ties to them. That's one of the reasons why she's portrayed in such a bad light. It's just, why is she writing about these people that she has no connection with? So that's a point against the theory.
I also believe that given that the common consensus is that Yuko wrote episode 5, Sayo would never write episode 5. That is just like, it's without love. It like completely like disregards her intention. And Ikugo has been proven like time and time again to be the person who is good at writing the mysteries, but not good at writing the emotions. And I think Sayo cares a lot about the emotions. Like, even just like looking at episode 1, like we have like whole like tangents about like all the shit that Natsu's going through and her suffering, and how like even like with Ava like torturing her like this, we also get to see like Ava's like suffering and her soft side, and see like these really like charitable, nice sides to them that I don't think we would get if Sayo just flat out like was just writing all of her stories with animosity towards the Ushiromiya family like all the time. Like, Sayo doesn't hate all these people. She has very conflicting feelings about these people. They're like her family, but they also like have tortured her and like put her through like so much.
I would
but,
believe that she would have it in her to write them with such animosity, to be honest. I don't think it's inconceivable she would have this much animosity. I tend to think of Sayo as very hatred-filled. I don't have a hard time at all imagining that.
I don't think she's not hatred-filled. I just think that Sayo cares a lot about conveying accuracy to the situation. And she, portrays everyone in a very like realistic light to how they seem to be. And like stuff like episode 5 is just like very out of character about it's just like, yeah, I love my dad now, and like everyone's just like making these like weird ass quips, and like Sayo would never write the line and then canon returned to the bad mood he always had all day long. Like
I have a question then.
She's different. She's built different.
Yeah. So this is more about EP 5 than anything. Then who and why is Natsuki written with such is Natsuki written with such grace so they could just drop her from a higher a greater height?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think Ikuko's the kind of person to like really like build someone up to tear someone down.
So like the fact that she is written with such care in the beginning is so then they can write her to completely slander her in the end. Is that that's the reason why I'm saying this is because I have despite the fact that I totally agree that parts of EP 4-5 is written without love and stuff, I actually never quite I feel like EP 5 is the point where it gives so much insight about insight about Natsuki. It's to Natsuki, it is the most kindest piece of work in a way. Of course, not kindest is not the correct word, but it explores a lot about it. And I always never really understood because, I agree that lots of people are written really OOC and, so on and so forth. The scenario itself, it's, very cruel and what it gets to be put in. But, the fact of and the whole exploration about when I see her, she is sitting by herself, instead of sitting sipping tea with somebody else. But the text itself is pretty, I guess, sympathetic to Natsuki. I feel like that's not or at least in the beginning of it, I don't really know how I reckon with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that there's an element of if Ikuko is an outsider and that's what enables her to view these people as just characters. Honestly, Sayo is the same way. I mean, we don't necessarily have to take confession as gospel, but literally there's the scene where Sayo starts writing the message bottles is that it becomes an overhead view of the situation where suddenly she's an outsider looking in, crafting these tales she is writing fan fiction in the same way that Ikuko is.
But the difference is that Sayo has been deeply hurt by these people. She has a reason to do it, whilst...
Yeah, but then she still writes people either from a good lens or a bad lens, depending on the circumstances, and she writes with depth.
I don't think Sayo writes those parts of the story. Like, I don't think she wrote Natsuhi to be sitting in the gazebo, having a chat with Beato. I don't think that was in the message bottle.
Well, no. That was... That's a forgery. So... Not part of message bottle canon. But I do agree, I don't think it's something Sayo wrote in the terms of I=Y. I think that, honestly, I can kind of see it being two things. Whereas Ikuko writing Natsuhi in this way was a way to kind of, like, start, like, laying out the solution a little bit, and, like, her, like, kind of walking through the events in, like, her mind and, like, making sure she has, like, it, like, solved, or possibly to, like, you know, like, really, like, jog Toya's memory, because maybe she's suspecting shit, that, like, Toya might actually be the real Battler Ushuamiya trademark. I can also possibly see the idea of Ikuko being sympathetic to Natsuhi for some reason. I'd have to cook on that. I have to think about it. But both Klaus and Natsuhi are written pretty charitably.
Yeah, like that's.
But they also go through a lot of suffering.
Klaus in EP5, like that's one of the things that I have never understood about EP5. Like EP5 is said to be a tale without love. Like I think and like Lambda Delta, like, you know, this is
only loveless people like Natsuhi and Klaus.
Yeah.
Consider that from the perspective of this being I'm still trying to remember I think it was Mushroom that this is a hit piece on the Witch Hunters.
Yes, it is a hit piece.
Up till now, we have 2 stories that are written by the culprit, 2 stories that are written by Ikuko. Whether the same person or not is the subject of this theory. And then you have this story that seems out of place, that feels like it's making fun of people who are like Erika. And there's the fact that Ikuko keeps talking as Hachijo Toya, the pen name, keeps talking about how readers don't actually think. And that feels like someone who actually wrote the mystery to me. I feel like it doesn't make sense for it to be.
I just had a brain blast.
I'll go for it.
This is expanding the horizons a little bit. If we open our mind to Ikuko also wrote Higurashi. We know Ikuko can write suffering well. Like, Ikuko can write, like, sympathetic characters, but, like, also, like, completely miss the point of, like, the original mystery and write a tale that has no love for Sayo. And just causes, like, out-of-character stuff and, like, suffering to occur because she wanted to tell a tragic story that made the witch hunters feel bad.
Okay, so what are you saying? Do you think Ikuko wrote, like, cute tepe? Is that what you're trying to tell me now?
I'm not saying that Ikuko wrote cute tepe, but, like, hypothetically, like, in terms of, like, Rika's really sympathetic, Satoko's very sympathetic, they've been through shit. But even putting aside Higurashi stuff, if episode 5 is a hit on the witch hunters and Erika's supposed to be making fun of them, Natsuhi's supposed to be the thing that makes the witch hunters think, oh wait, have we been the baddies all along? Like, Natsuhi is probably very deliberately written sympathetic, as well as Klaus, when they haven't been written that way before. Well, they have been written that way before, but like extremely so, because Ikuko probably wants the witch hunters to feel like assholes. She's being mean to them by making Natsuhi baby girl.
I think that this lends credence to Eva showing up to Ikuko and Toya between 4 and 5, and that 5 is them being sympathetic to Eva and all of the people that they are getting disgraced by all these terrible witch hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thoughts. Sorry, my brain.
Okay, does anybody have any more thoughts about this? The only reason I'm saying this is because we're going to be swiftly approaching our 2 hour, in 20 minutes, approaching our 2 hour mark. So I think
You sound like
we should
a plane pilot.
we're going to swiftly approach it.
We are approaching our destination. We are reaching I equals Y.
We're landing in Nijima. Gonna take a boat to Rokenjima.
Fall.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Otsiru?
So
I do have thoughts,
yes,
though.
I do want to say we should probably start wrapping up. That's my point.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my little final thought here is Pokey opened up my third eye a little bit in terms of timeline, because I think actually Ava visiting then makes sense, because basically they write a hit piece on Ava immediately after the Ava hating is at its peak. And then as police evidence comes out that says she didn't do it, Iguo's fuck, we have to write an accurate one, a plausible one. Come on, Toya. And they write, we blame it all on Kinzo. It was all Kinzo's fault. He was deranged. Have you seen this man?
Well, I don't think that would be the reason, because they still kill Eva. So trying to make it true to life.
Oh no, it's not necessarily true to life.
I think that it's not Ava specifically, but Ava gave them a perspective. And she's not the only one getting trashed.
Maybe less true to life and more take the eyes off the Ava hit piece by writing this really ridiculous story about Kinzo and how deranged he was and all this weird magic shit that's more than every other episode combined. And then around that point is when Ava came in, gave them Book of Truth, tried to talk about it because they were knowing things that they really shouldn't know. Via Toya, and then they started being sympathetic in episode 5.
Just like I said, everybody on this podcast, we are all going to listen to the authorship. If you guys don't show up with notes to shit on our theory from 2 years ago, then we're gonna showdown. This is very important.
Are we gonna have?
I'll take notes. I'll make a PowerPoint, maybe.
Yeah, no.
I'm not gonna promise that.
But I'm just saying that, I think what we have right now is it's a lot of ideas about what we think, specifically speaking, happens in a lot of these scenarios. And the thing is that okay, Y equals this is the ghost story. It's being Y equals I is still inconclusive, but we have really opened our eyes to this idea, not to the ideas of accepting it, but really debated the possibility of the logistics of it. I think and the thing is that I think it is there's a lot of mental gymnastic. Not saying that it's bad for one to believe in Y equals I. I'm clearly we all still love Pokey, and Pokey, we haven't killed Pokey yet. Not yet.
Yeah. You either die a purist or you live long enough to be an I equals Y.
I'm sorry.
But what I was actually going. But what I was actually going to say is that I think it is very clear that the interpretations of Umineko comes in a very interesting kind of ways where we really have to come to more consensus than what we have right now. And I think what we now know is that we might have to really follow EP 6 and rethink about how we think about a lot of these scenarios and how does any of the timeline fit together, because that's what makes theories like this even possible to flourish, is how unsure we feel about all these characters. And it is not saying it's likely, maybe one of us are gonna become a I equals Y truther at one point.
God.
Or maybe we won't.
The infection will spread. I do have one very important final thought about this. I could talk about this for hours, but there's one thing that I need to get out, which is the fact, the objection to the theory that goes along the lines of it doesn't make sense or it isn't right for Sayo to be Ikiko because Sayo wanted to die on the boat and that's the end of her story. That's fucking ridiculous, and it flies again in the face of the entire message of Higurashi and everything that Battler says in that scene, which is that she's not supposed to die, that they're supposed to live on and not commit suicide.
Okay, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I do feel like Umineko is a tragedy unlike Higurashi, so that's why I feel very satisfied with Sayo's end. I guess I also have a parting remark, which is I feel like one of the number one things turning me away from the Ikugo Sayo theory is that why would Sayo continue to live in the past like this? I know, like, possibly to, like, you know, like, spark Battler's memory, like, sure, like, I can understand that, but why? I don't see what Sayo gets out of, like, publishing hit pieces on, like, Ava and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why she would, like, start, like, making this personal and just, like, publishing shit for the world to see after all of it was said and done.
Yeah. I don't want to make a full discussion because I know we got an episode, but I guess my small counter is that isn't there a scene where Ikuko shows Toya her work and Toya's like, you should publish this, and she's like, no, and he's like, yeah, you should publish this.
I think we remember.
I do not recall
yes,
that.
there is.
It wasn't about Rokenji and the forgery. It's about a different mystery.
Yes.
But if Toya doesn't realize that it's true to life,
I mean, there's news articles about, like, fucking Ava, like, possibly murdering her entire family for their fortune. I feel like it's hard to avoid that.
Well, yes, I mean, yes, there is scenes where Battler, Toya encouraged, Toya encouraged Ikuko to publish things, but they are not about, like, as in, like, she wrote about other things before, like, you know, deciding to write about the Rokenjima mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, like, we have presented a lot of thoughts on this episode. Des, do you have any closing remarks?
Maybe we need a part 2.
I'm hungry as shit.
Oh my god, I think we are gonna kill that. Okay, so, sure, like, okay, let's close it out by today, since, we are going to hit the 2-hour mark. How about this? I will go into the wild and find a second Y equals I truther, and then I'm gonna pull them on to do a part 2 with everybody here, and then we're gonna talk about this more, because I think
because I need backup.
Yeah, this is 2-on-1. This ain't fair.
This is 3-on-1. We cannot pretend Mushroom is a neutral party anymore. Mushroom came in to start the recording. It was like, okay, who here actually believes? And I was the only one. And then Mushroom's like, okay, I'll be a neutral party.
But Mushroom being a neutral ground is like a necessary evil, because last time we had a smoking room argument like this, which was smoking room number 1, by the way. She just died as a person and forgot what side she was defending. So I appreciate, you know, the thoughtfulness of standing in the middle this time.
Yeah, Mushroom, you really prevented an all-out war here.
Okay,
I'm gonna bring a chart next time.
Okay, everybody gets to bring
I'll bring more charts.
Everybody gets to bring more charts. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Smoking Room. It clearly seems that we're gonna make a part 2, and then we're gonna promise it for like 3 months before I find another person that I can get on.
Only 3 months? That's super optimistic.
Okay, shut up. Okay,
it's very generous.
Okay, fine. Let's say a year, and then 3 months to a year. I think we, you know, if you are an I equals Y truther in our comment section, contact me. Leave your comments down below. I need to find you, and, you know, you could be the lucky person getting to back Pokey up in the holy war to decimate.
Pokey needs you. And that's like me pointing.
Yeah, exactly. In the holy war of Y equals I, and if you know, have any opinions about this, but anyway, write in the comments. Not that I give a shit about your engagement. I keep thinking that not that I just like I said.
We care very much.
No, just like I said to Pokey, I didn't even think people listen to this podcast. Pokey was like, oh yeah, I heard about Y equals I from this podcast, and I was like, oh my god, like I forgot like people actually listen to this. Like that's insane. Anyway, everybody say goodbye.
Yeah, I was a fan before I joined. I remember seeing you. Okay, bye bye.
Goodbye equals Y.
Goodbye. Shut up.
Bye.